Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, June 21st, 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. So market state, we continue to be an uptrend, and we're riding the wave higher. We're respecting those short-term moving averages. I'll get over to the trend gauge here. Market leaders, we still have the green arrow there. A few are starting to pull back this week, but overall, they still look healthy, and some profit taking isn't out of the ordinary. Short term, this is our 21-day exponential moving average. We have the green arrow as well. The mid and small caps continue to lag. Medium term, 50-day moving average, green arrow as well. And same situation, the mid and small caps are lagging. And then long-term 200-day moving average, we continue to have the green arrow. And as we know, the market does not get into serious trouble until we have a sustained break below the 200-day moving average. So what happened today? This is around day 3 of a narrow range. Semis that pulled back hard on Thursday, followed through a little bit to the downside today. But despite all that, the S&P 500 notched another weekly all-time high close. So here are the final numbers. 21 over 21 lists, down 1.61%. 3 of them were up, 2 neutral, and 16 down. Big 8, up 0.08%. RG8, this is our 8 growth composite, down 0.06%. The S&P 500 down 0.15, and we're seeing RSP, which is the S&P 500 equal weight, up 0.08%. That's good for breath. NASDAQ up down 0.3%, equal weight up 0.27%. Dow Jones down 0.16%, mid caps down 0.06%, Russell 2000 down 0.2%. 60/40 down 0.18, and in-house GROTECTION down 0.45%. So let's get into the interasset correlation. Start with the chart of the S&P 500. So I'll go to the weekly. We notched another all-time high weekly close. There's nothing really bearish about that. And if we look at the daily, we pulled back on the 20th. And just kind of consolidating today, very tight range. I'll pull up an intraday chart. As you can see, we flushed Thursday's lows off the open, tried to rally back up here, came back down and closed mid-range. And today was options expiration, so you tend to get some funky action. And then I'll pull up the 60-minute. And as you can see, so this 54.47 level was kind of the spot that we broke out of after that gap up, and we continue to trade above that, which is a positive. And despite only pulling back a little bit, that 60-minute stochastic has already pulled all the way down here. So a hook up here could be a good risk to reward with the S&P. And then some other levels, we want to see this 5,400 hold, and then obviously this gap up as well. We'll go to the QQQ. Pulling back a little bit harder, right? Sitting right at the 8 EMA, and that's expected as the QQQ has been outperforming. Weekly, notched another all-time high close, and similar to the S&P, still holding above this gap and holding that breakout day. Dow Jones, strong day. It had that flat, but holding those gains after it wedge popped those moving averages. And if this continues to stay strong, that will be good, seeing some rotation into other areas of the market. Mid caps, still just chopping around right below the 50-day. Would like to see that wedge pop and pretty linear downtrend line here. So if it can get back through, see this RS line pop up, that'd be positive. And daily stochastic is in a pretty favorable spot for a bounce. Russell, again, same story. It's holding this 2000 mark and still in a big base. I would like to see it get over that around this level. And if I pull up a weekly chart, it can't break out yet, but once this does break out, the saying, the bigger the base, the higher in space. This should be front and center in our screens. The VIX down 0.6% and, trading below 15, that's good. We'll see less volatility in the market. The dollar strong today, up 0.21%. And, it's holding above these moving averages, and it broke that down trend line. And we'd like to see this dollar come a bit lower for equities. So continue to watch this. GLD, after a strong day on Thursday, just got hit right again. And I mentioned it the other day is, the 50-day is very flat. It's not sloping up. So it's still in this range. 225 is that high, and then the low ends here. So maybe we see a little bit more tennis ball action in this base before trying to go higher. GDX, gold stocks, same thing, rejecting the 50-day. Silver, this was the strongest on Thursday. Now it's coming back down. That 50-day will be key, but overall on a bigger time frame, the weekly looks good. Bitcoin trading below the 50-day in this range. Broad bond BNB holding above these moving averages, and it's forming a solid like 6-7 day consolidation. So we'll see which way it resolves. TLT, again, in this double bottom base, holding above the 200-day moving average. TYX, this is the 30-year yield, tight inside day. And then TNX, this is the 10-year, another tight inside day. So let's get into the tail of the tape. So VIX was, down 0.83%. Some news today, we had options expiration, and you'll see some of the volume on some of these stocks into the close was all funky. We had flash services PMI this morning, and then existing home sales as well. Muted reaction from these economic reports. Day count, treating today as a consolidation day, 14 days above the 8 EMA, 15 days above the 21 EMA. And our expectations continue to be positive, but in the back of our head, we know we are short-term extended, but starting to consolidate and loosen up those extensions. So that's a positive. And then looking at some of the sectors, XBI, biotech was the leading sector today. Good to see that group get some money flow. XAR, aerospace and defense was strong. IGV, software, XLY and XLC. XLRE, real estate, with rates coming down, that sector is starting to set up. And then oil services. The weakest, silver, giving back a lot of the gains from Thursday. Copper, uranium, China, Bitcoin, and solar. So seeing a lot of those commodities give back the gains. In-house, so what did we do? Our adjusted beta came down to 0.95 from 1.02. We took an offensive sell in PSTG. We've held this for over a month now, locked in our gain as it was pulling back to the 21-day. We took a gain on our SOX-S, hedging some of our semiconductor positions. We sold NXT, just never could break out, and showing a little bit relative weakness, and the solar names are starting to pull back a little bit. And then we took a small starter position on SRPT on the gap. So bottom line from today, narrow range, semis pulling back, profit taking, but S&P 500 notches an all-time high weekly close. So let's get in some charts. I'll pull up the 21/21 list, and we can look at some of the winners and losers on the day. So bros, this was up 1.5% and putting a nice candle. The price structure of this chart's really good. If we look at the weekly here, big stage 1 base breakout, falling through to the upside, and now it's forming a nice flag here off the 21, and great volume characteristics. And on this pullback, the volume's been relatively light. Coherent, strong day after a 2-day pullback. Spotify, held that 350-day level and then starting to come back through. And this has got a great base. So this one will be on watch. Weekly looks awesome. Kava opened lower and had a really strong comeback into the close, finishing the day up 0.23%. And this one just continues to chug higher and the clear leader for the retail restaurant stocks. SARK was up, obviously, with ARK weakness and lack of breath. And then CrowdStrike down on the day, but holding that 8 EMA. And some of the losers, Palantir, disappointing, definitely. It had a strong 2-day push out of this pivot. Now it pulled back, broke basically 4 days of gains in one day, down 6.73%. And that's where the saying goes, staircase up, elevator down. Owen decisively losing the 21-day and kind of still holding that 36 level breakout spot and above the 50-day. Coinbase leaking through below the 50-day, and Bitcoin's not looking great right now, so this name might struggle. And the tell was it never could break out above this 263 spot. TMDX down 3.44% on the day. This one might need a little bit more time. It had that powerful gap and a few weeks higher, and now looks like it might need to go sideways for a few days / weeks. NXT sold this one today, just losing the 21-day, and First Solar is holding up better, although it is just sitting right at that 250 psych level, and that's the high volume close. So I'll pull up PSTG. We took our gain on this one today. We're buying right around in here, and it hit that 20, 25, 30% profit zone, and with some of these tech stocks pulling in, makes sense to lock some gains in on tech. Sold the hedge in SOX S. We got that pullback in semiconductors. And as we know, with these 3X ETFs, they move quite quick. So when you get your gain, you want to take it. And then SRPT, this is a biotech company, RS line new high, and look at these earnings, quite good. Broke out, gapping out of this big base. We took a starter in this one today and huge volume. So that was a positive catalyst on this one, and this weekly looks great. Coming out of this 160 level, closed right at that pivot. So yeah, some names that stood out to me today. HUD was one, up 2.58% on the day, and strong. It had, it was like 6 days down right into the 21-day, and this one had a nice bounce today. Kava, which I mentioned, continues to trend higher. GEV, which we own in GROTECTION, held the 21-day on this gap down today and finished the day down 82 basis points. So definitely some relative strength, and these alternative energy stocks and the sector as a whole has been acting really well. Amazon, just on the verge of breaking out of this multi-week base. And I mentioned options expiration, and you can see it's had a huge move into close. And that always with the options, there's a lot of stuff that happens, but this RS line hooked back up. So this may be entering a phase of outperformance, and then the moving averages, you can see they're pretty much all within 0.5% of each other. And this is one of the few Mag 7 names that hasn't broken out, and it's coming against these 3-year-old highs. So we'll see if it can break out next week. And then FFTY, I want to bring this ETF because this is the names that we traffic in. This held the 50-day on this pullback, so that's good. See if this can get some relief back up next week, as a lot of the names we're trafficking in are growth-oriented stocks. And yeah, so that's going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is Connor@Revere Asset, and you can reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. Phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. And I'll leave it with We name our flagship portfolio GROTECTION. We want to participate when the market is an uptrend and protect money in downtrends. And if you're interested in becoming a client, please reach out. And with that, I'll wrap it for Friday, June 21st. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.